All right, let's do this.
Here we are. Okay.
Impress.
Impress.
To impress or not
Most
to impress?
impressive. Okay.
Most impressive.
All right. Let's
You already know the movie
let's
clip you're putting in.
I didn't until right now.
That's great. Phew. That actually that actually saves a ton of work.
I know. That'll be so easy to find too.
Like sometimes I'll be on YouTube like looking up movie
Yeah.
clips embrace.
Yeah, dude, that was so good how you did that though. That was perfection.
Brothers Got a Hug. It just was
Yep.
like that one came to me on a run. Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, it was pure perfection.
Thank you.
Um okay. All right, here we go.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, click. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap.
You're listening to the Two Gomers podcast, a show about two regular guys in their 40s embracing midlife, chasing healthy aging, and inviting a nation along for the run. This is episode 400. Who am I trying to impress anyway? For February 2nd, 2014. Wait, what?
What?
For February 2nd, 2024.
Took me a second. 2014 what?
I know.
That was amazing.
I don't even have that written down. I had 2020. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, totally. Welcome everybody to this, the quote unquote official 400th episode of the Two Gomers podcast. This is Anthony speaking, one of those two aforementioned Gomers, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, with my friend Steven, all the way out in Flagstaff, Arizona.
The quotes are because we have over double that amount of episodes out there.
Right.
And it's probably not even really right for the Two Gomers podcast.
Right.
It depends on where you go, but 400 episodes today. Is there anything to the fact that this is coming out on Groundhog Day?
That sometimes the podcast feels like we do the same thing over. No. Well, actually, no. Life is like that, right? Like that's
true.
Groundhog Day is life, like the same thing over and over again.
And I wonder if even the topic today is something that comes up over and over again in one's life.
That actually is genius.
Yeah.
Because I think people are going to really hopefully relate to our first core question episode.
Yep.
But it is something that once again you come back to and you're like, why am I doing this? Right? Like that is the Groundhog Day effect. Like, who am I trying to impress anyway?
Yeah.
Why, like that was my word last year. Like, remember, you're doing it again, you know?
And in fact, that one day in Groundhog Day, now I'm really going for this. That one day in the Bill Murray vehicle Groundhog Day, when he is just trying to impress everyone. In particular, I can't remember her name. McDowell. What's her first name?
Annie McDowell.
Annie McDowell. Annie McDowell, right? He's trying to be like, I'm great. Look at my snowman. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Just ends the night, her slapping him, and
100 times in a row,
all over again. So, okay, we did it. That's why there is something to it.
Yep. And what was the message of the movie? Is he stopped trying to impress everybody and he gave his life away.
Just be selfless.
That's how he got out with, the thing wasn't that even part of our evidence in the movie that there is no explanation like of why he ended up this. There wasn't some,
I do
like,
think that
your finger
it's kind
in a
of like
socket
this,
or
right. It's kind of like the Scrooge thing where it's like, he's nice now. And so he can get out of this.
Right.
Now him playing that piano at that party, that was pretty impressive on that final day.
Yep. But he was doing it. Let's go for the performer.
Okay.
Doing it from a place of love. Like he
was
that.
Enjoying it.
Yeah. Like
yes.
Freewheeling up there. He's got the sunglasses on. She's like, I only taught him one lesson, right? Like he loves the piano teacher. He's like congratulating the rest of the musicians in the band.
Yep.
Plays a little Rachmaninoff.
Oh man.
Little jazzy version.
And what is it that somebody figured out? Like it could have been like 4,000 years he was
Mhm.
caught in that loop. Now,
Right.
we're two regular guys in their 40s. It hasn't been quite that long.
Mhm.
And we've only gone 400 episodes, not quite 4,000 years of the podcast.
Right.
But that's a, I mean, now we're in our five, we're like in the, we're in the five, we're in the 400s. I don't know what I was trying to say. Our fifth century of
Mm.
worth of episodes. How about that?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Starts today.
Again, don't forget,
Mhm.
hundreds more.
Right.
So,
Hundreds more to come. Um,
no, I mean
so
hundreds more previously, and hopefully hundreds more to go,
right.
as the Lord wills, right?
Don't forget, everyone. We need to make sure everybody knows
Right.
how
Don't say you will
impressive we
podcast
truly we are.
here or there. You will podcast today or tomorrow.
Yes, everywhere. Because 400 is a big deal, we wanted to
Mhm.
do something and start something that felt like a big deal. Since we
Yep.
started the Two Gomers podcast just under a year ago,
Mhm.
this iteration, I should say, where we were focusing on midlife, we've always had this core section, right? But we've always wanted to start doing core questions.
Mhm.
And I think we wanted to get kind of our sea legs a little bit right around what the
Mhm.
podcast now is before we started that. But then we started talking on air, I think, at the end of last year, that when 400 hit, we were going to do our first core question.
Mhm. Yep.
And so here's what's going to happen this episode. We're going to start with a baby step of the week, where we talk about a small step that we've taken toward our health. Then we're going to go into that core. Like I said, core question, one that we've asked over and over again over the years. Who am I trying to impress anyway?
Mm.
And then we're going to end with what's giving us life this week. And of course, a ton of fun stuff along the way. But first, here on the Two Gomers podcast, we want to take big strides toward health, but we know it starts simple, starts small. And so this is baby step of the week.
Great. Let me get to the um I forgot excellent opening. Sorry. I just
No
have
problem.
to get to my notes of my tip or
Okay.
my baby step. Yeah, here it is. Nope, that's not it. Here we go. Is this it? Sorry.
No problem.
2024. Maybe. Sorry, 1 second. I promise this won't take long. Only 1,000 notes. It's
You
not
just
one of the
gotta,
pinned.
you've got to sift through them all.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, here it is. Was that it? Nope. Close.
Can you search a word?
There
For
it
a
is.
word?
Found it. Found
Okay,
it.
great.
Whoo,
Okay, great.
sorry about that.
No
Sorry,
problem.
everybody. This is why you pay the big bucks for the YouTube feed. Okay.
Okay, here we are in baby step of the week.
Wait,
Now,
wait, here, can we just clap? Can we just clap?
yeah,
Sorry.
great.
1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap.
Okay, here we are in baby step of the week. Now, I hate to spring this on you, Anthony,
Mm-hmm.
but I think mine is a Gomer's tip, not a baby step.
Yup, mine's totally a Gomer's tip too. Now we're doing life giving at the end, right?
Right.
Do you want to start this over?
Nope. I think
Okay.
I'm gonna do another. I'm gonna redo the jingle. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
And now it's time for Gomer's tip of the week. I think we can alternate this. If it's a tip, we should do a tip. If we want to do a baby step, we can do a baby step. Listen, we're in the
Right.
400s now.
Yeah. I mean, you know how they say, when you get to a certain age, you just do whatever you want, right? You don't care what other people think.
Right.
You just, right? Like it's stuff like the filter.
Yep.
The filter is lost a little bit.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe that's from less approval of others and less impression seeking.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe we'll come back to that. Now, I think what we can promise is that we will have a short segment before the core,
Yeah.
and then what's giving us life every week. But maybe we start playing a little bit with this segment. Maybe a
Yeah.
song to run to
Hmm.
once in a
Yeah.
while. We'll
I
get back
love
to
it.
some of the basic segments.
Ooh, yeah.
So this is
Runner's
Gomer's
Corner.
tip of the week. Do you want to start or should I?
Sure. I can start.
Great.
Okay. So, sorry. Let me edit there. Okay. So it's kind of a tip,
Mm,
but every year at the end of the year. So, we're now in a new year. This
yes.
comes out in February. We're
Mhm.
still in January when we're recording it. And you go through these cycles, hourly, daily, monthly, quarterly, yearly,
Yearly. Yep.
biannual. Is that 2 per year, or is that every other year?
Biannual can be either one.
Oh, really?
Yes. I believe I had this argument with Chad one time, and we came to
Hmm.
the conclusion after much Googling that biannual or biweekly, bi-monthly can either mean twice in that time or every other.
Okay. And did we talk about how, like, when the Badger football team has a bye week, that means they don't play that week?
We didn't, but is this sports corner? Are we
Is
going
this sports? What?
corner? Okay. Yes. So rhythms.
Okay.
There's rhythms in the year.
The
Yes.
point is that there's rhythms, and then yearly. And so we
Hmm.
just went through, our one words.
Yep.
And previous to that, we just went through our Gomer's favorite things
Mm-hmm.
of the
Yeah.
year. And so I was really inspired at the beginning of January, and it's not too late. It's only the beginning of February when you're listening to this. So you can still do this, listener.
Yep.
I started writing out my Gomer's favorite things 2024
Mm.
as if at like things that I have not yet done.
These are pre-favorite things.
These are pre-Gomer's favorite things 2024. I don't want to spoil any.
I need an example though. I don't quite
I know.
understand what you're saying.
Oh, okay, well, okay. Here's a materialistic one.
Okay.
Our new bed.
Okay. Now I get what you mean.
So
So
like me and Aaron, we're looking for beds,
uh-huh.
and I'm prophesying that
Mhm. Name it and claim it.
Yep, right. We're not prosperity gospel people, okay? But let me
Right.
just say that my hope is that 2024, my Gomer's favorite thing is our new bed.
Okay. Now that's of course that's kind of risky for you to. I'm sorry I forced it into the podcast, but now people know that are gonna be expecting it in December. That
I mean,
your new bed is one of your favorite things of this past year.
Yep. Sorry, I was listening and also reading through some of these because I haven't actually looked at some of these in a few weeks.
Okay, read me one more. Read me the one that made you giggle.
Okay. Well, I can't read that one because I don't want to say it and then have it not happen.
Okay.
Because we've done that so many times on the podcast, and that's kind of why I left.
Huh?
I mean, one other one was the fact that all the lights in our house are easily turn onable and offable.
Wait. So you can't turn the lights on in your house?
We have this problem. So remember, the Gomer's tip is think about the future, like what you would love to attain, and then go for it, and even write it down. Okay.
I love that.
So
In a note.
currently, we had all these smart plugs all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if anybody has had this happen. They were probably even on our Gomer's favorite things a couple of years ago. The kind of smart house.
Right.
The brand that we had, it wasn't janky. It was like Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow the app just decided I don't work anymore. You know what I mean?
I mean, yes, I know exactly what you mean. And so then a third of the lights in your house just don't listen to you anymore.
Totally.
And then you're like trying to Google how to make it work. And any instruction you're getting is completely inscrutable.
Uh-huh.
And then you're just like, you got these bricks plugged into your outlets everywhere.
The apps don't relate. It doesn't talk to who, Alexa.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just say it, Alexa. Let's see if that messes anybody's situation up. Sorry.
If anybody had it turned up.
Right. But yeah, most people listen through earbuds anyways. But um, tons of our lights aren't even on switches because of just the way our house is.
Yep,
I don't know if this is you also, but
it
they're
is us
not
also.
outlets that are with a switch.
Hmm.
So it is a constant.
Floor lamps or table lamps, right? Like
Yep.
things like that in your house.
Yeah,
Because
like so if
both
we
you and
go into
I cannot stand overhead lighting.
oh yeah, I mean I remember I read this one blog that was like why we never turn on the quote big light in our house. And I was like I feel so seen
My
because
people.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So but if you go into our bedroom,
Hmm.
nothing happens. Like you have to turn our two lamps on individually.
Oh, you have to
Yeah.
use your hands.
Daddy, this is like a baby's toy. So anyways, so Gomer's favorite things 2024
Yeah.
is lights in our house
Okay.
are working again. And
I
you know
cannot
what? I
wait
can
for
make that happen.
actual Gomer's favorite things 2024 because I'm going to remember these things.
This
I
is I
filed them
have the
away.
note. I
Okay.
have the note and it makes me laugh a few of them. So,
Okay, great. So, great Gomer's tip. Get started on your Gomer's favorite things list
get
early.
you know your New Year's resolution for next year starting. You know you're going to want to
Mm.
collect your favorite things. Start working on
Yep.
them now.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. My Gomer's tip is some people will be pleased to hear running related.
Ooh.
So last weekend, I guess it's 2 weekends now ago, I ran my birthday half marathon, rock and
Oh yeah.
roll in Phoenix. Um, the best part about it was it's the first long distance race I've run in years when it wasn't raining.
Mm, yeah.
So you remember that, bro?
Yeah, I do.
Misery. And
Well,
so it was a great race. And I suppose the baby step about that, you can listen to our 375 episodes that we've recorded about running to hear all the baby
mhm,
steps that it takes to get to a race like that.
right.
Um, Jessica got COVID right
Mm-hmm.
before she had trained up with me, but couldn't go run the race. So I was once again running the half marathon alone.
Mm-hmm.
So last year I ran it alone, and I gave a Gomer's tip that you should find somebody if you're running alone to tether yourself to.
Mm,
Like imagine yourself like tethered to them and they're like pulling you forward. And so
sure.
my Gomer's tip this time is what kind of person do I choose? I thought about this a
Mm.
lot. I had a lot of time to think about this because I was friggin' by myself for the whole race. And
Right.
so here's my Gomer's tip how I decide who to tether to in a race when I'm running alone. And what I
Love
mean
it.
by that is, do you have this, the like those dog leashes that go around your waist?
Yep. That's what we have for Indy because you know she's a puller.
Right. So I
Yep.
just imagine I've got that around my waist and somebody ahead of me has that on their waist and they're pulling me
Or
ahead.
it's the Mandelbaums from Seinfeld pulling Jerry Seinfeld in his Volvo.
And now there is cruise control now that exists that like sets the cruise control based on the car ahead of you.
Oh yeah. Yep. I don't mean to brag. We do have that.
Hey, wow. I've
Although
I've experienced that in a rental car before and that was fun.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the kind of person I try to tether myself to. So I try to find someone my fitness level
Mm-hmm.
or and this is all by sight when I'm just standing there in the what is it called?
The
Not the
starting gate, the starting
yeah, but
line,
what are
the
you put into
porta potty.
no, no. I can't think of the word that like that cattle are in.
Oh,
You
the
know what I mean?
corral.
Yes, the corral that I'm in.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Crowded in. I'm just kind of like looking around like who's my fitness level? Or somebody who looks fitter than me and is wearing a knee brace.
Okay. So
So those are the kinds of people
sort of
I'm
yeah,
looking
okay.
for.
Got it. Now,
Um, so
gender?
then what's that?
Gender?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Cuz I
Doesn't,
would say just being a man, not being
uh-huh.
genderist here,
Yeah.
might not want to chase after another woman.
Okay. That's not in my Gomer sip because it almost always ends up being a woman.
Okay, okay, got it, got it.
Because once the race starts, it's kind of trial and error. I will like
Sure.
look at several people and then some of them it's just not working out. They're either slower than me or faster than me.
Mhm.
So it takes probably a couple miles 3 or 4 miles sometimes to find the right person.
Sure. Okay,
And actually
that's cool.
that's
So you're trying people out.
yes.
I'm gonna cut that gender thing.
Okay. Yep, you're trying people out. Uh Gender neutral. It might be a
Mm-hmm.
guy, it might be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's a nice distraction those first 3 or 4 miles because you have like a job to do.
Right. Also, just make sure you're not a creeper. If you do this tip, don't be a creeper. Right.
Right.
Like,
I know within myself that I'm not a
yep.
creeper, but it is a good side tip that if
Yep.
it does seem like people, whoever you're chasing notices it and is weirded out by it, find
Right.
somebody else.
Okay.
Um, and then there's this bonus that if they have a motivational shirt on,
Mm.
that is like it's not an absolute must, but it's icing on the cake. So the person I found this time was uh, a woman who was my fitness level and had a knee brace.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, hello. And her shirt said, movement is mental health.
That's great.
And I was like,
Great.
this is it. And I just ran behind her, whether this sounds creepy or not,
Yep.
for the entire race. And it was really fun too, because that shirt really kind of had an impact on other people.
Mm.
And so a lot of people that were passing us, I heard them say, "Oh, I love that shirt."
Right.
And it really helped me kind of think through some things. And so that's my tip, everybody. Find somebody to tether to and use those fun little ways to do it, and you'll have a great race, even if you're alone.
Love it. Movement is mental health.
Yeah.
And then remind us again what your three like mantras were.
Yeah. I can do hard things, which somebody
Yep.
was yelling into a bullhorn at around
Yeah.
mile 11. You can
Uh-huh.
do hard things, they were yelling. And I was like, mm-hmm. They must be Gomer listeners.
Yeah, yeah. You're
I can
like,
do
I
hard
coined
things.
that.
Yeah,
And
hey,
not
they
really.
must listen to last year's app.
Yeah.
Um, I finish what I start,
Yep.
and I'm a man of my word.
Yep.
And those 3 mantras have become my go-tos on a race.
Yeah. Those are so good because just behind the scenes, for people, Jessica was super sick with COVID, like
It
real
still
bad. And
is.
she
I mean,
developed
we're 3 weeks in right
pneumonia
now, and she's
or
still suffering
yeah.
infection in her lymph nodes, all this stuff, complications from
Dang.
COVID. Yeah. Yep.
So I told you
Mm.
there's no way on earth I would do that race if I were you. I was like,
Right.
I wouldn't leave. And now that you left Jessica, okay, because Jack's there and it's been weeks. But I was
Yes.
like, guaranteed I wouldn't have done it.
Sure.
Would have come up with some sort of excuse or,
Mm.
for good reason too, whatever.
Hmm.
And you're like, nope, I'm a man of my word. I finish what I start. I can do hard things. And so that I
Yep.
told you that was really inspiring,
Mm.
and shared that in my birthday message to you on the Gomer page in the Insta story. If
Thank
anybody saw it before it got deleted,
you. Right. Never, no one will ever see it again.
nobody will ever see it.
I will just say my final thing is if Jessica told me don't go, I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah, yeah, of
But
course.
that was not an issue. She was like, sure. I mean, we paid money for this stupid thing.
Right.
Some one of us should race it.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
all right, dude. I am ready. Oof, okay. We got to gear up for this. I'm ready for our
This is
first core question.
the serious stuff, dude.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Okay, let me. Oh, it's all of a sudden really really dark.
Yeah, I know. I noticed
Which
that.
is great.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. That means I'll open those up for a little while. Okay, ready?
Yep. Should we
Here
clap?
we go. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 1, 2, 3, clap,
Clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
clap. Hey, how's it going over there? It's been hundreds of episodes. I know you guys have been really working on the approval of others. The fear of man, as it says in Proverbs 29:25, can prove to be a snare. And then I know you're really working on not trying to impress everybody. So can't wait to hear some practical tips. All right, cheers, mate. Oh,
I can say with certainty that I've never let trying to impress Dr. Knutson sway me
Mm,
or any of my
okay, good.
decisions or anything like that. So I feel free from that.
Yep, free. That's my word of the year. Embrace
Mm-hmm.
is your word of the year. Oh, another Gomer's favorite things, 2024.
Yo.
This stuff hung up. That was one of my favorite
Okay,
things.
we'll
Of
see about that. I've heard this
that
old saw before.
that was one of my Gomer's tips of or Gomer's favorite things, 2024. Future Anthony reporting. I
All
love
right.
my studio with all its hung art. And by the way,
Yes.
what you said. Remember when we're doing this free 100, not spending any money, not
Yeah.
drinking any alcohol or sugar, or all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said, "Why don't you take some of the artwork that's in your studio and put it in your dining room?"
Right. I remember.
I did that,
Ooh.
and boy, oh boy, that sounded just like you. That's something you would say.
That is totally. I was just gonna say. Wait a minute. We're gonna start confusing people even more about which is which. I always say, boy, oh boy.
Boy, oh boy, that is so Stephen.
I wouldn't have said that until you said it. I mean, I wouldn't have said that's something I say until I heard you say it and thought, oh, I think I say that all the time.
400 episodes in, it's like we're becoming one.
Right. Yeah, I guess so.
But it really spruced up the joint.
Great.
I took some Sun River Music Festival artwork and put it on both sides. And dude, we were like, wait, we don't need anything else. This is great.
Yeah.
So
and you know what the mystics say? Pictures are windows.
That's so good.
So when you hang art up in your house, it's like you are adding windows in your home.
So do you mean, like, is there something in the metaphysical where you're actually looking at a mountain, like, through that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I have this picture of Devil's Tower over here, and I consider it a window.
That's
right
really,
out
really
to
cool.
the Dakotas. Right? Like,
Gorgeous.
I'm there, bro.
Gorgeous. I absolutely love that. I can't wait to one day have that scripture wall actually finished right now. Let's see if you can see it.
I want to see.
It's a piece of paper. Can you even see it?
I can. It is just, for people that are just listening, it is just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Like what, thumbtack to your wall?
It's Scotch tape.
Scotch tape, even better.
I've replaced that Scotch tape like 4 times. It's been up there for almost 2 years.
That is good.
I need to find, because I love quotes. You know, everybody knows I love quotes. I love words on walls and you know, or like frameable quotes and stuff like that. So I need to find, I'm sure it's on Etsy, or just figure out how to do it ourselves, but a way to make that, you know, a big white framed thing with black letters and a cool font. My favorite sayings, like "Eat the frog."
That would be great. Well, I mean, I could work on it too. I mean, your birthday's coming up.
True.
Okay. We got to talk about our first core question. So
yes,
we here we are in the core, where we dig deeper into a core habit, discuss a core practice, or answer a core question around healthy aging. This week, our first core question ever. Who am I trying to impress anyway? Now, you reminded me that you texted me this question.
Right.
It was less than a year ago, because we were doing this iteration of the podcast. I remember, because what's giving us life that week
you're right.
was the place you were in, which I was surprised to remember. Do you want to tell everybody where you were?
Yes. So you and I were working on, as we always are, working on brainstorming ideas for podcasts.
Always,
you know,
always, yeah.
Always thinking about things. And we were at the Great Wolf Lodge.
Right.
Me and the girls. Erin was in London, England, visiting her sister for a week.
Foggy London town, right? So that must have been what, February last year, January last year?
I think it would have been her winter break, but I thought it was March. It was either her April break or her February break. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I took the girls because we had a week. And I had maybe 2 days of work to do, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly. And so we did this fun overnight
Mm-hmm.
the Great Wolf Lodge, and we're in the wave pool,
Right.
which honestly you have to. I'm not going to perseverate on this, but you kind of have to like close off the fact that all of this water has been in everybody's mouth, butt, armpit. Like with
And
water parks
elsewhere, every
indoor and
crevice.
elsewhere, every crevasse.
Oh yeah.
Like
I mean, it's sick,
you
but
have
but
to.
great fun.
What is that in the movies when you have to just take it as it is?
Oh, you suspend disbelief, that kind of
Yes,
thing. Is that what you're saying? Yep.
suspend your disbelief as to that water. Okay,
Hmm.
at an indoor water park, and maybe I just ruined it for everybody, but it is so fun, and we're in
Oh
the wave
yeah.
pool, and I'm just thinking about life as I always am, and
Uh-huh.
texting ideas to myself from my watch because my phone was in the I think maybe even in our hotel room. Like I was trying to be super untethered, but just stuff comes up in your mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the best ideas usually come that way. And so I just texted into my watch, who am I trying to impress anyways? Because
Yeah.
you know what it was last year, midlife milestone. I don't think I ever shared this. Was I started wearing the rash guard instead of
What's that?
rash guard. It's like an overshirt when you go into the pool.
I see. You became a shirt swimmer.
Yep. Totally.
Okay. Yeah.
I think this summer, hopefully Gomer's favorite things, that won't be the case.
Put
2024.
it down in the note.
Put it down. It's on there. That's one of the things I laughed about.
Okay. Well, there you go. Bare-chested swimming again. A return.
But the point was,
Yeah.
I'm wearing this this rash guard. It's inside. You don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, partly because I don't want to walk around without a shirt on because I kind of look stupid. I don't know.
No, I know. So is that as you're thinking, like when you made sure in yesterday's text to remind me I was in the wave pool.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was maybe you were having like just a friggin' blast and you were like, this is how I want my life to be. Why do I have to impress anyone? Right. I did not know this shirt element. I guess both of them could be true.
Well, I might be compounding
Yeah.
memories together.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I might not have been thinking about that at all, but I remember thinking about that in pools in the last year. Was like,
Yeah.
I just wear the rash guard and you feel like so good. Seriously, it feels great. So who am I trying to impress anyways? Like,
and
who,
can you
who
tell
by
me...
not wearing a shirt am I trying to impress? Because nobody's going to impress.
Right.
Who by wearing a shirt?
Yeah, it's a lose-lose when it comes to this question. So I'm wondering, because I will get to this. We asked this question of the nation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I asked, because one thing that I would love these core questions to be is that they are normally rhetorical questions that we actually try to answer.
Right.
And so I asked the nation, basically, who do you try to impress?
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because I think maybe 90% of the answers were in response to the spirit in which I think you texted me that question.
Okay.
And other people were like, I impress people, it's fine. So I'm wondering, what was the spirit of the question when you asked me that? You weren't actually asking me, I want you to answer me right now, who are the people that you try to impress, right? Which is what I asked on Insta.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the kind of spirit? Why did you ask me that question? Or text it to me?
If I remember correctly, I was thinking about how there's all those blogs and things on the Today Show that you've seen over the years where like parents don't want to be in pictures and all this stuff. Like, I don't like the way I look. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about like, like what is that? So there's that side of it.
Yeah.
Like who even cares what our family picture looks like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the family picture is for you. Right?
Yeah.
And that also stems from a fact that we judge others like, dude, you see that picture they posted? Ew, woof, buzz your girlfriend, woof. Right? Like,
it's the buzz your girlfriend woof syndrome.
Yeah, it's totally that. Like,
Yeah.
because we all do it.
Uh-huh.
We all judge each other's pictures, which is super bad,
Sick.
sick.
Yep.
Uh, but then it stems deeply, so like way beyond a silly rash guard thing or a picture,
Yep.
is like I live
Mm.
like since I can ever remember, since I was
Mm-hmm.
probably like 4 or something,
Yep.
and probably before that, for the approval of others
Mm-hmm.
as a just a giant in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to confess that like that's really hard to say.
Mm.
But maybe it'll give people life or a you know a place to be like, wow, me too.
Yeah, not as lonely and maybe how they secretly feel. Right?
Right. I
Yeah.
mean that the approval of others is kind of like the brother sister of impressing others or something, or maybe they're one
Right.
and the same. I don't know.
Well, no, and I'm asking that because I do think that we use approval of others and trying to impress other people probably interchangeably, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so when you wrote "Who am I trying to impress anyways?" I
Hmm.
actually thought, as I've been thinking so much about this the past week, especially as we've been
Yeah.
approaching this record, that I'm wondering if it's more of a why question, like why am I
Hmm.
always looking for approval in
Hmm.
unhealthy spaces
Yeah.
or unhealthy ways?
Hmm.
Um, Still, I really kind of love this who aspect of it.
I know it makes it like hones in.
Right. It drills down into the question
Yep.
in what I thought was a really interesting way. And it ended up being so interesting
Yep.
when answers started coming in.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. I mean, these are those things in the middle of the night you wake up and you think about that person
yep.
in the cold sweats. I mean, this is the stress dream from high school. You know, you're unprepared for the thing and you're afraid you're going to be embarrassed, or you're afraid you're going to be found out, or you're afraid you're going to make a fool of yourself on stage, or
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, the stress dreams I have are naked in front of other people, even though I got better at that because now I have dreams and I'm naked in front of other people. I don't care.
That's kind of weird but amazing.
I
So on
know.
this episode, you run after women in half marathons and like to be seen naked.
The other one I have is I am in a play and the performance is now and
Yeah.
I don't know any of my lines.
Yeah, yeah. I, totally.
Um, so that actually could be a concert or other things like that. That has also come up.
Absolutely.
Like I'm like I can't remember the fingering for a
Hmm.
E flat
Well, yeah, for me
on my
it's.
trumpet.
Oh, really? I
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I have the one where I haven't had this in years actually, but I used to have the dream that I was holding a viola
Oh,
and I'm in
really?
front of the
Not your
orchestra
instrument
playing.
at all.
No, not even my instrument. And I'm like, I don't know how to play this thing. And I'm in front of everybody playing concerto.
Yeah.
And um, yeah.
And not for nothing, all that's performance based, right? Now, we have performance either in our past or present. I actually
Hmm.
kind of want to get back to that because I think our lives are different in that
Hmm.
way and similar in that way in some ways. Um, it kind of, those dreams kind of really expose this is something that I am stressed about.
Hmm.
What if people think badly of me?
Yep.
What if people think I'm bad at blank, bad at life?
Totally.
You
I mean,
know?
it's the tyranny of the approval of others.
Hmm.
It's the fear of being socially rejected. It's the tables at school
Right.
in middle school.
Yep.
You know, it's those the literal layers or steps of
Hmm.
approval at
Yeah.
the middle school that we had, right? The lower
They were
level was the
they
cool
were
people.
levels at in the commons
Yeah,
of
literal
who
levels.
was most impressive.
Yep, totally. And you had to have the name brand this, and
Yeah.
you had to have the tight rolled that, and
Yeah.
the hair this way, and
Right, because it was middle school, it
right,
was now even as I'm saying that, I'm realizing this is not just a middle school thing, but because it was middle school, it was so based on appearance.
right. Yeah, but see again.
Not different. Not different
It's
right now.
not different.
Nope.
It's you either just get better at covering it up or
Right.
more lascivious in the way you look at people, insidious, right? Like the way you
Yeah.
screenshot stuff and send it to people, or
Mm-hmm.
judge others just in your own head.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's actually, honestly, this is pretty gross. It's pretty
Mm.
sick, and
Yep.
it's super prevalent, and we do it to others. It's kind of like one of those. Oh, we say this with Lily all the time. Not Isla as
Mm-hmm.
much yet, but like I know because I am.
Hmm. What do you mean?
So I judge others, or I
Mm-hmm.
fear judgment because I judge others.
Oh, that's good. I
That's
see
what
what
I
you
mean.
mean.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So Lily, she's gotten really, even in 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, yeah, this person and that, and the popular thing in this. She's like, but I know because I am.
I love
Like
it.
I am judging others too.
Mm. Well, that's some great parenting. I'll just say that. Can I
That's
can I
that's a win. I'm not that. There's plenty of others I could.
Sure, right. Once in a
Sorry.
while we have to share a win,
Every
everybody.
now and then, it's like, oh, that was actually really good.
Can I share some of my research? So,
Yes.
I've spent a lot of time poring over the answers that the nation sent in,
Hmm.
and I've kind of gathered some of my findings. I'm wondering if
Yeah.
maybe I can share some of them with you. So,
Yes.
basically what I was finding was that and people would what happened was people gave me answers to the question, who do you spend the most energy trying to impress?
Right.
And then because that was just like names or relationships, I followed up with each of these folks and I asked them, is that a negative or positive reality in your life?
Hmm.
Can you explain that?
Yeah.
And I would say it was overwhelmingly negative, not all negative, overwhelmingly negative, that people
Hmm.
try to impress others. And there were I found four prevalent negative effects on people's health when it
Hmm.
comes to this. And these are all quotes right out of these answers. So one is unnecessary or increased anxiety.
Hmm.
The second one was what I'm going to call the keeping up with the Joneses effect. Actually, I'm not calling it that. A listener called it that.
Yep.
The third one was not being who I really am. And so this feeling of inauthenticity or like leading even a double life.
Yep.
And the fourth one was waste of time and energy.
Mm.
Okay. So here's the most interesting that I found that connected to each of those was a certain kind of person that people try to impress.
Yep.
So unnecessary anxiety was when people try to impress authority figures.
Okay.
Here's what somebody wrote. It motivates me to excel, but sometimes for the wrong reasons or at the cost of my mental health. And it is a huge source of unnecessary anxiety and incorrect assumptions, fears about being in trouble. At the age of
Whew.
almost 40,
Mm.
I
Yep.
can't seem to shake that fear.
It's, I mean, it's, in some ways it makes my hands tingly. We should almost put a trigger warning at the top of that, because
Well,
like,
and that's where you hold your anxiety, you've told me, right? In your
yeah,
hands.
I hold a lot of my anxiety in my hands, which is funny
Mm-hmm.
because I also hold my, like, I literally hold my performance, my job in my hands, right?
Yep.
Uh, yeah. I mean, so authority figures is interesting because authority figures can be anybody, right? Like it
Yep.
can be like a literal boss, somebody that holds
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
your, you know, maybe your quarterly report, or tells you to do the TPS reports, or you know, somebody that you
Yep.
report to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it could also be somebody that has power over you, a
Yep.
colleague, a friend, a
Yes. Mm-hmm.
parent, a
Now, it,
person at
it did
school.
seem to me that most of the people that named authority figures were actually talking about their bosses at work.
Okay.
Um, which is interesting to me that that means that for a significant amount of people that deal with this, they're not who they really are at work.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so here's a very interesting wrinkle on this that one of the responders, and she said I could use her name, is one of my employees.
Whoa.
So Amy, I'm
Mhm.
Amy's boss, said, "My boss, LOL." And I was like,
Yeah.
I just reached out to her and I said, is this like a funny thing? Because you're just trying to like tease
Yeah.
me.
Uh-huh.
She's like, nope, it's you and other people in authority over my life.
Hmm.
And so we had this really kind of incredible text exchange about it. And she was saying it's not all bad. There's a bright side, right? She wants to impress me that that's not inherently bad because I'm her boss, right? Like she
Mhm.
wants to do good work.
Yep.
But let's see if I can pick out something that she said. Um, she wants to separate her own identity from other people's opinions and emotions,
Hmm.
and that's hard for her.
Yeah.
And has been since her childhood. She said I could share this.
Hmm.
And we were just at a staff conference where Rich Velotis preached, and it was incredible. And he preached a lot about this.
Oh,
And that was
yeah,
really
that's
helpful
awesome.
for her and for me. But it was kind of a trip for me
Hmm.
to
Yeah,
realize that I am a part of this kind of system.
sure. Well, that's super interesting. I think anybody that's listening to this that's in the middle age, I would say work is probably at the top of your list where this
Mm-hmm.
is evident
Yep.
and where this is anxiety producing.
Yeah.
And also, along with that, we are getting to the point in our lives where we do have authority and power,
Right.
right? Both
This
as
is not something that I saw coming when we decided
uh-huh.
to do this episode, by the way.
Right,
That
right,
I
right.
was going to have to think about myself and my own behavior.
Right. Yeah, that's
I'm on the
super
other side of it.
well, so I'm thinking of it as a dad
Uh huh.
specifically and as a
Yes.
teacher.
Yep.
Um, but you now have that thing
Mm-hmm.
where somebody is like, "Hey, daddy, look at what I did.
Yep.
Like look at my watch my jump into
Mm-hmm.
the pool. Look
Yep.
at my cool artwork," right?
Yeah.
And and there is a super healthy that's totally normal and healthy
Yeah.
to like I did the same thing with my dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're the grown-ups. So and I would say, I don't know, this just came to me is like this thing where when they try to show you something, don't reach for your phone to take a picture of the thing
Uh-huh.
that they're trying
Yeah.
to show you,
Yeah.
but just look at the thing.
Yeah, because when you do that, and I think my sons helped me understand this when they
Hmm.
were finally like, "Can you just not post pictures of me anymore and what I'm doing?"
Whoa.
I think that it was probably because that's kind of embarrassing, but also because like I don't know that they would be able to say this like vocalize this, but it probably meant like you're more interested in impressing other people with me than seeing what I'm doing.
That's a gut punch, bro.
So I'm going to back off of what I actually said. Authority figures did include parents in this
Okay.
unnecessary anxiety thing.
I mean, we know from
Mm-hmm.
years of spiritual growth
Yep.
that the father wound and the mother wound
Mm-hmm.
is a real thing.
Yep.
The approval of your parents and grandparents and maybe even
Mm-hmm.
aunts and uncles,
Mm-hmm.
cousins is
Yes.
those are like your first relationships, right?
So much so that one interesting thing that came up in several people's answers were deceased parents
Mm.
or grandparents.
Jeez.
So I don't quite know what to do with that. Certainly since I my parents aren't deceased, right? Like, will my desire to impress them decrease or stay the same? I don't know. I can't speak to it, but it was an interesting thing.
Well,
Um,
even though uh you're, I mean, think about if you're just think about like this is like a classic movie trope where the dad
mhm.
usually in the movie is
Yep.
like a Vanderbilt or like a Rockefeller or something, and then the son's like,
Sure, yeah.
well, I mean, that's like Succession. It's like
Uh-huh.
all like this is literally Succession, which you haven't watched and you
I
shouldn't.
watched the first season,
Oh, you
so I
did
know
watch
what you're
first
talking
season.
about. Yeah, first season
Okay.
of Succession and first season of Yellowstone. I
Okay,
watched the first
it's
season
also
of both
Yellowstone.
of those. It
That's
is.
all
You're
it is
right.
about is these kids wanting the approval of their dad.
Adult adult
Yes.
children, right? Like,
Yes.
yes, I
Totally.
know.
Their
Um,
dad sees them all as failures, and
mhm.
he drills that into them like a
Right.
screw,
So this
right?
really does actually connect with the not being who I really am one, because
Mm,
that was also bosses, supervisors, authority figures, parents. And
right.
some of what people said was, it doesn't feel like I'm in an authentic place when I feel this way. And then um, when I'm unaware of this, I can go so far as abandoning my own sense of self or
Mm,
sacrifice things I want or that are healthy for me for the sake of appeasing or impressing someone
mm,
else. So you when you are living, when this is a giant in your life, I'll just use that wording because you
mhm.
already did.
Yep.
Um, the danger is added stress and anxiety and this kind of like tearing in you of who you really are, who others expect you to be, who you want to show other people that you are, even if you're not really that thing, right? And so you're not able to be. This is not my words; it's the words of so many people that responded. You're not really able to be you,
Yep. You're
and
being a version of you, right? A differentiated
yep,
version of yourself that you
mm-hmm,
think other people want, which is what we said in the movie Big. That's
mm-hmm,
why Josh Baskin was so amazing.
yep.
Is he was
He
at
was
what was
truly
it? Play
him.
Now,
Yep,
just being himself.
I know. Yep. So one thing that Roger has said to me is that not being able to be yourself or living double, triple, quadruple lives
Mm.
is one of the primary sources of uh, mental illness. Uh,
Wow.
that there is a chemical separation that is not healthy that's happening in you in your brain.
Sheesh.
And so anything that you're trying to work on, you have to work on it double, triple because there's four of five of you, like, um, so this was just like this, like hammered. I mean, this was like, I was like, this is so heavy. Okay.
Well, so here, wait, but hold on. I'm not ready to be done with this one yet. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's good.
Because
That's
this is
fine.
like, I mean, this could be like a multiple part. Like every
Yeah,
one
I
of
know.
these could be an
That's
episode.
true. Yep.
Um, I'm wondering if this is part of why Severance was so popular.
Mm, yep.
Is right? It's the Apple TV show that if people don't know what that is, it's like super award winning, unbelievable, trippy show. But it's like,
And
what if you could sever those
right.
people?
Yeah. The conceit is, could you be one person at work and one person at home? Like,
Hmm.
there's a procedure you can get.
Right.
So you don't remember your home life when you're at work and vice
Uh huh.
versa. I mean, what a friggin' incredible idea. I'm mad about it.
You're like jealous.
So jealous.
uh, but yeah, so we could talk about that forever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you do the same thing too when you bring your work home and then
Mm-hmm.
you lay into your
Mm-hmm.
family. I mean, I've had that happen plenty of times. I'm not a rageful person. I'm not
Right.
an angry
Sure.
person. But like when you have that anxiety and stress from work, you're
Mm-hmm.
either not present, or you're short, or
Yep.
you're critical, or you're just divided, right?
Yeah.
Um, and can I just say one thing that has helped me with this
Yes, please.
work thing?
Yep.
I think that the approval of others or the impressing of others
Mm-hmm.
is so often rooted in you actually don't approve of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if you could say that you're not impressed by yourself, but you're like not happy with
Mm-hmm.
yourself or what you're producing potentially.
I would say the most positive responses that we got to this question were when
Yeah.
people said myself. Now, that wasn't a positive across the board. Several people said
Hmm.
myself, and that's a negative. But a lot of people said I am determined, at least, to seek my own approval,
Hmm.
that I would approve of myself, and that some of the things that I would do, I'd be like, "Wow, great job, me."
Good job, me.
And
Well,
I I
so
I think that that's true. I think that that is, if you can if you can develop that a little bit more, then maybe you wouldn't be so obsessed with becoming someone who you aren't to impress other people.
Well, yeah, so that's what I mean is
Mm-hmm.
why when people are critical towards you are you so defensive?
Mm-hmm.
And I really think at the root of that it's cuz you actually don't believe in what you just did.
I mean, that's good, bro. Yes. You and you feel exposed.
Yeah, that's why you're like defense. You're in high alert. You don't feel
Yes.
safe. Is like you're like I didn't do my best,
You
or
are,
I'm not.
yep. When somebody critiques you, even if it's
Uh huh.
kind,
Sure.
your fears of being inadequate and not impressive are uh become real. And
Mm.
then you get real mad at the
Mm-hmm.
person that gave you that feedback. Not at
Mm-hmm.
yourself, at the person that gave the feedback.
Right. When you're really so when you, oh, man, it's like when somebody says something critical of you that
Mm-hmm.
you know to be true.
Yep.
Like, yeah, that TPS report. I'm just gonna keep saying jokes because that helps me a little bit. It's like that
Go
TPS
for
report. I was late on that or
it.
whatever.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's a life is actually way more complicated than that. But
Mm-hmm.
so that's why this do your level best
Uh-huh.
that I kind of discovered in a retreat a year and a half ago has
Uh-huh.
been like a a like a stick of dynamite in the middle of the approval of others.
Right.
And when the anxiety raises, it's usually because not you. It's like often because I'm not, or I don't feel like I am, or something. So does that
Yeah,
make sense?
it does.
Because then you kind of can become a little bit bulletproof
Yeah.
to the critique of others if you're doing that. So
Yep. Yeah. Let's talk briefly about these other two. I don't
okay,
know if that's going to work, but I just want to make
we'll
sure we
try.
mention the keeping up with the Joneses effect, which was mostly people that mentioned their friends, coworkers, or peers.
Hmm.
This is the quote I pulled. If I'm being honest, I want to impress because they are, quote, cooler than me. And I still, after 39 years on this earth, lots of
Yep.
people said this sort of thing like, I can't believe I'm
Yep.
still dealing with this.
Yeah.
Want to increase my social capital and be able to hang out with the cool kids. Ugh,
Mm.
I'm working on it. Two exclamation points.
So this is the I need to dress up to go to the cool store syndrome.
Yeah,
Like
right.
I remember when we lived in New York.
Uh-huh.
This sounds so dumb, but like I wanted to start to go to a few of the cooler like fashion stores. I mean, even like something like Banana Republic. Okay, that's not like
Yeah,
crazy.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I
The
was like,
buckle.
the buckle, totally the buckle, dude. In high school, wanted to get those Z Cavarici jeans or the Maurice and Francois Gerbeau with the silk shirt, and I don't even think those are real things anymore.
No, no.
I'm
That's okay. They're
sure
real to us.
they were real, and right? Like you even feel judged by the people at the store.
Okay, so that's another one. That one is this waste of time and energy, strangers and acquaintances that I really want to talk about.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
The
We'll get I
friends,
was thinking of that
coworkers,
with
and peers
I
is
see. Okay.
like when
Mm.
you dress up
Hmm.
differently than you ever would dress up because you're going to see a certain friend.
You're like, "Oh. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So remember like when you're going to see okay, can I pull another silly example?
Yeah,
Back in the day, we just thought Calgren was like the coolest guy, right?
sure. Yes.
And he is one of the coolest guys we know.
Yep.
Even though we know each other. Hello.
A very
Um
impressive guy. We'll just say that.
but he's an impressive guy. He's a literal rock star for a while. Got to work
Yep.
with Hans Zimmer.
Hmm.
Got to, record a song with Shia LaBeouf. He made it into a big movie, and he
Yep.
is a really, really cool guy. I'm
This World Fair, we've even featured his music on the Two Gomers podcast.
yeah, totally
I mean, that
one
you
of the
know you've
coolest guys,
arrived.
right? That we know, and
Hmm.
you know, there was a period of time where I really wanted him to think I was cool,
Yep.
and so you would wear your best outfit. You do your hair the best you know how to, right?
Get it as crusty as you can.
get it as crusty as possible, but like make sure your I don't know, your house is clean if your cool friend is coming over, right?
Yep.
Like this is past Calgary, but like
Mm-hmm.
you've got somebody really cool coming over,
Yeah.
and you I don't know.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we might keep this in. We might not keep this in.
Okay.
But I would say I'm just going to be as honest as I can right now. Like somebody I want to impress most is you.
Hmm.
You're an impressive guy. You have achieved a lot in your life. you you make more money than me. Which that's what keeps me up at night.
Oh
Like
man.
not who am I trying to impress, but what can I afford? Right?
All right. Mm-hmm.
Um we're very close friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking a lot about this. You know a lot of people in my field
Mm.
that are very impressive and are much more accomplished than me. And you love them.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we are close friends, and I know, bro, I know in the depths of my soul that you love me, and whether you're impressed with me or not doesn't care. It doesn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think all the guys we always talk about, I think you, Alex, Hack,
Mm-hmm.
Chad, I want to, I don't know why, and I've grown a ton in this. I'm going to give some tips at the end because I have grown a ton in this. But I would
Yeah.
say if there's still a group of people in my life that I want to impress, it's that group.
Wow.
Um, so I try to, sometimes I will like have to delete something I put in that group text
Yeah.
because it's so obviously me trying to impress you guys.
Hmm.
So I've gotten better at it, but I don't know. When a lot of people said friends, and across the board, when I asked them if that was a positive or a negative, they said negative.
Yep. Um, okay. I didn't know we were gonna go there, and I don't really know how to respond to that. But
Sorry.
no, no, no. It's like the whole reason to talk about this stuff is so that people can relate.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I mean, like I'm blown away by you. I'm inspired by you. Like I think it goes the exact same way for me to
Mhm.
you. I want you to think I'm awesome. Why wouldn't I? Like,
Of course, and of course I do. Like, but
like no, but what I mean
what
is,
does it
yeah.
matter for us to be telling you? Like, that's sometimes I wonder that. Like I could tell you, and I believe this 100%. I am as impressed with you as I'll ever be. You could
Yeah.
not do anything else in your life that would impress me more than I've already been impressed by you,
Hmm.
right? And like you could be the friggin' principal bassoonist of what? Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
Berlin.
Sure. Yeah.
These are just ones that you've mentioned. And
Right.
I would be equally impressed with you as I am right now.
Because who cares? First of
I
all, about
I
that.
care a lot about you,
Right.
but um and my guess is you feel the same about me.
Yeah. So that's what I was gonna say is I feel like with the running stuff, like I
Mm.
totally let you down, total failure, and I'm uber impressed. I already said this in this episode.
I know.
People, welcome to our therapy session.
Two people said that to me in the Insta. They were like, "What do I owe you for this free therapy session?"
Right. But like, I mean, the fact that you did that half marathon with basically a club leg and a wife with horrible COVID and you still did it. How could I not be blown away impressed by that? You know what I mean? Like I'm impressed by your zero inbox. I'm impressed by a million things. Um it's so funny because you're absolutely right. And I mean, this is like the gift that a great friend
Hmm.
is like Tim Keller says, to be fully known and fully loved
Yeah.
is the desire of every human heart, which
Hmm.
is why we don't know, like we don't want people to find out our shadow side. We don't want people to find out our bad stuff. Is
Yep.
because like if you actually knew me, you
Hmm.
wouldn't love me. And of course, there is only one that truly fully knows us and can only truly love us, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And that's God.
Hmm.
But a great friend and a great spouse, like Aaron and I are the same way. You and Jessica are the same way. Like, I don't feel like when I come home, I have to
Hmm.
impress her, but
Right.
I do love doing crap that impresses her.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
People listed
baby.
their spouses on this, right? And mostly they said
Spouses of,
that was positive.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I had one friend that he was like, actually kind of lived in fear of his spouse. And actually, I'm sure people that are listening have had that
And
where they're,
we had a couple people say that.
yeah, they
Interestingly, I
like
mean,
don't
people
feel,
were brutally honest with us on this thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm on this social media fast, so I didn't see any of this. Dang it! But I'm gonna go back and
it's
and
pretty
read.
interesting. Yeah.
Um, wow. So keeping up with the Joneses is where we're at,
Yep.
and I think it does play into friendships, and it
Yeah.
plays into couple. Like you guys said, you're starting that small group with couples, right?
Uh huh.
Soon.
Yep.
I mean, that happens with couples. Like, and we even have it. Like our best friends here are the Rosenbaums. We love
Mm-hmm.
them. You've met
Yeah.
them. They're amazing.
Yep.
uh there's probably some of that with each other, but we're had such a vulnerable great relationship that, but it's like you get, I don't know, like let's say your friends get a new this or that,
Yeah.
or I can't even think of any good examples, but
No, a
or
new
your
car
neighbors.
or
Isn't that what
yeah,
keeping up with the Joneses is like? Oh
that
well, they
that's
got
what
a
it is.
new,
I mean, the term means the Joneses is the general term for like anybody that lives in your neighborhood, right?
right.
And I think with friends, peers, coworkers, it's just like there's varying levels of peacocking on our
That's it.
part, right?
Yep.
And I know I know because I am. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
And I
Yep.
know other people are doing that same thing too. Um, it is, just so you know, helpful to hear that I am not the only one that's doing that in our
Mm.
relationship, you and me. I, I think that
Yeah.
when you're talking about you and Aaron, I feel that way about Jessica, where she knows things about me that are so dark,
Mm-hmm.
and yet she still loves me.
Mm.
And so when I say I like to impress her, I don't do that because I think if I don't, she'll leave me.
Right. Right. Right.
That's like kind of the positive spin on it. Um, I think you're hitting on the deep desire of I want to be known fully so I don't have to impress. And that's so rare.
So rare, dude.
And even though I feel like we know each other real well, it's still there. It's I don't know. I don't quite know what to do with it, but uh, again, I want to name that so people might feel less lonely in where they're at.
Yeah. Wow. Well, our friendship is so not performance based
Yeah.
that we can talk about some shiznick and not worry about it. It's when you're having to put up a facade around other people or
Hmm.
impress other people, um that, because I like, what I'm impressed by with you is your steadfastness and your faithfulness. You could give a sermon in front of a million people that blew everybody away, but I'd be like, "Oh, that was cool."
So
But
why don't I believe you? I do actually wait, that's not true. I
yeah,
believe you. So then why do I still have this in me? I don't know.
my Tommy gun. It's my Tommy gun. Don't I believe you?
But
Is
my
like
Tommy gun don't.
like
It's
the
I believe help my unbelief is what it is, right?
that's okay. Forget Home Alone. Let's go straight to Jesus. You're right. I
Yeah.
believe. Yep.
It's
Wow.
a really odd. I fully believe it, and I'm not sure why I act the way I act. So there's this other thing that was came out of nowhere for me, but I get, which is this people trying to impress strangers and acquaintances, and I was like, I don't get this. But the minute
Right.
people started talking about it, I was like, oh. So I just said, can you clarify?
Yep.
And this one listener said, I don't spend a lot of time trying to impress my close friends or my family because I know they love me. but I feel like I waste a lot of time trying to be better for the second or third tier friends, aka acquaintances. Why do I
Dude.
care about them anyway? Question mark, exclamation
Who
point, question mark,
who am I trying to
exclamation.
impress anyway?
That's the
That
question.
weird guy
Yep.
or like girl, right?
Yeah. And then another listener who was explaining this to me ended it this way. I think I spend slash waste more energy on people who don't even have a direct impact on my life than those who actually do. And that does sound familiar to me. Why do I waste so
Super.
much time and energy trying to impress people I'll never see again? Or people that I have I'm acquaintances with, but they can't fire me from a job. They can't, you know what I mean? But I'm still like
Right.
trying to impress. I don't know.
I mean, where I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. Why? I mean, okay, I've always got personal. I mean, man, I have got examples at the ready for every single one of these, and I didn't even prepare. But I think about. I mean, I prepared a lot, but not for this. Like,
Yeah.
why, when we go to the pool in our neighborhood,
Hmm.
do I give a friggin' rip what our neighbors think about my minor carb beer gut right now? Like, why am I, you know, okay, so okay, here's an example. We have we have like two trees in it. We have twin pines mall in our front yard, like two
Okay.
huge
Yep.
maples that I'm super proud of. I love them.
Hmm.
And a lightning struck or something, and so this huge uh
Branch.
like branch came and it's just hanging there
Hmm.
for like half a year, and I was like, I don't know how to get that out of there.
Right. Yeah. What
Like,
do I know?
I'm gonna need to rent a crane or a super huge ladder, and it's gonna be a huge mess.
Yeah.
And so we went to the pool this summer, and
Uh-huh.
just an acquaintance neighbor was like, "Hey, man, want me to help you with that thing? I see it every
Oh
day,
no,
and it's so
exposed. You've been
yeah,
exposed.
yeah." In front of like again minor acquaintances. I mean, these are neighbors, so it's
Yeah.
higher level than like the Banana Republic employee or the Saks Fifth Avenue. That's like you're wearing like that. You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
my store.
Right.
Um, But and they were like, "Oh yeah, I saw that." Another guy was like, "Yeah, dude, when are you gonna fix that, dude?"
Oh no, this sounds like a. Are you sure this wasn't a nightmare?
Yeah, was this a nightmare? I was also naked, but with my rash guard on. Um, just rash
Bottomless.
guard. Just cover up just the top. That's my
Oh
worst
boy.
part.
Yeah, the bottom. I don't mind.
My legs are okay.
Oh, um, yeah, it's so it's. I can think of examples too where I'm like, I'm never gonna. Alex called it NSA. You'll never see him
Oh,
again. What do I
I
care? Never see him
NSA
again.
Alex. So Alex, it would be. I feel like if we had Alex on this episode, he'd be like, "Don't care."
100%.
Like,
I
I
don't know that that's
swear
true, but he comes off that way.
that's what I mean. And so there's also, I actually listened to a couple sermons on this. There is also the effect of like, I don't like the person that doesn't care what anybody thinks. But the thing is, they want to be known as the
Uh-huh.
person that doesn't care about what people thinks, which is caring about what people think.
You are naming one of my pet peeves in personalities.
Okay.
Is like you can't. I just feel like just going up to these people and say, "You can't fool me." I see right through you.
You see the inside out brain inside their head that's like,
Yes, exactly.
alert, say that thing.
Uh, yeah. Whew. Um. Well. Okay. I think we should probably start bringing this to a close. Maybe this whole question thing is mostly so people don't feel alone
Yeah.
in some of these questions that bang around in their head. But I did mention to you that this is not as much of an issue to me anymore as it used to be 10 years, 20 years ago.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that.
So I have a couple more Gomer's tips. Well, actually, it's more. I just feel like I'm just gonna zip through some ways that it has changed in me.
Great.
So this is gonna seem really weird, but one of them has to do with Tim Keller.
Oh, oh
Don't get
baby.
too excited.
Oh, dang it.
because it's not a great story.
Oh
It's
no, that's okay.
it's
I'll
it's
I'll I'll
when he
follow up with a
it's
good
when he
one.
wrote that article about our ministry
Oh right.
and
Yep.
said something that I consider very misguided,
Huh.
and uh he kind of was talking about the state of college ministry and how bad it was, and he called our ministry out. He's an alum of our ministry.
Right.
And for about an hour or two I was so upset.
Hmm.
And then something switched, something just clicked in me, and I was like, this guy doesn't know me.
Hmm.
Why do I need to impress him?
Yeah.
And because I'm a 7, I'm in the head triad. Sometimes when I just recognize something practical, something clicks in me, and I just don't struggle with it as much anymore.
That is a gift, my friend.
So you are in the heart triad, so this is harder for you.
I mean, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
So there was this moment there where I was like, it makes no sense for me right now to want to impress this stranger.
hmm.
And for
Yep.
some reason that was a turning point in my life. Um, and
Wow.
so for some people, it just takes some practical reminders and remembering of what matters.
Yep.
Um, there was another point where, in my field, success often is the same thing as numbers. And there was a point
Right.
where, like, is my ministry big? Is my church big? Is my parachurch numbers big, right? How many people am I affecting? And
Right.
there was a point where my boss told me I don't care about numbers.
Wow.
And I felt like a 1,000-pound weight was taken off of my shoulders. And I
Dang.
and I stopped needing to impress people with numbers. Um, and then this feels a little
Wow.
bit strange to say, but I just, for the past 4 or 5 years, have just had other harder things to worry about. That
Yeah, that's
worrying about who to
right.
impress has gone away almost completely.
Yeah, so that was funny when we were talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
Uh was you were like, "Dude, I just have bigger crap to worry about now." Like and maybe that's leveling up maturity wise,
Yeah, I don't
and
know.
also just life gets complicated, and
Yep.
like what the Joneses think about me isn't as important anymore as being a faithful,
Hmm.
steward of what I've been given, or
I think
this
that's it.
huge mess I'm trying to clean up in my house
Right, like
called your
it's just it's
plumbing.
a time issue. It's like a brain space issue, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I don't have
Yep.
the space. Now, there are things we also were talking about this on the phone where we were just like we both different things keep different people up at night. And so if impressing other people is a giant in your life and not in mine, no judgment. There's
Right.
giants in my life too.
Yeah.
Um and so I think that there's just like but none of these that's why none of these are tips
Right.
because they're just things that happened in my life that I embraced. I kind of feel good about this. I
Yeah.
embraced as ways to put this other thing that has kind of been a reality in my life into like I've just decreased it, minimized it.
Okay.
What about you? Do you feel like you have any further practical thoughts on this?
Yeah. Actually, I mean, of course, you know me. I had wrote down a whole page of practicals. Uh,
Good.
uh, but let me just share three.
Okay.
Also, by the way, that was amazing. And hey, Tim Keller changed your life too. That
You
rules.
did. Yeah.
And but you still like him, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
R.I.P. He's still the
Hmm.
goat.
Yeah. I didn't mean to
Um,
speak ill of the dead. That's just what happened, and it was just
no, I
yeah,
think if he were
impacted me.
here, you not trying to impress him just listening, he would be like, "I'm sorry that that happened," and
Sure.
probably
I agree.
we don't need to relitigate that. I mean, as being a part of InterVarsity, maybe why he felt safe to say that.
100%. I think that's why we were named
Right.
because he learned to study the scripture under us. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yes.
he has skin in the game, and
Right.
So I don't agree with what he said, but I
Yeah.
understand why we got called out.
Yeah. Um, couple things. So
Mhm.
I feel like impressing and getting the approval of others is based in a deep need for
Mhm.
security,
Yep.
to be seen, to have meaning, and a way to practice this that I've
Mhm.
worked on really, really hard.
Mhm.
And I mentioned this in the free episode, but is to not go on stage or to something I'm doing needy.
Right. Yeah. Yep, I remember this.
And specifically with the need for approval, and specifically this is what I wrote it down when I was like on a walk. I was like, I don't need to go into a place looking for an attaboy.
I like that. That's good.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
uh and so what I mean by that, if somebody doesn't know, is like you go to work and you just want to hear like attaboy,
Mhm.
nice, you
Yep.
know, because you're going to go to a lot of places and you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I'm talking to a kid or a student, but we are
No.
adults and we are desperately seeking an attaboy.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Um, and then two others.
Can you be satisfied with yourself without one?
Well, I mean, that would go into a whole nother thing, which is giving compliments to others in order to get a compliment for yourself,
Yeah, we've
right?
talked
Like,
about that before.
I
That's
didn't
a
receive an
reality for sure.
attaboy, and I'm going to dole out some attaboys because I am a natural born encourager,
Uh-huh.
and maybe then I'll get an attaboy.
Well, and if you're not a natural born encourager, you will withhold the attaboy
Mm.
because you have not received one.
Ooh. Now, I physically don't know what that's like. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I don't know what withholding like that feels like, because
Uh-huh.
I, as a recipient of that, it's like it's like the worst.
I'll tell you when I've done it, it feels gross. It
Mm.
feels like the attaboy is rotting inside me and I have to get it out.
You so eat frogs and then spit out attaboys. Um, practice the quiet place. Do
Mm-hmm.
awesome stuff that nobody will see.
Great practical. Thank you for naming that. That's good. Yep.
Like, dude, I don't this I'm just gonna prop myself up and tell everybody. I'm not going to. It's gonna tell
Okay.
something cool that I did and that I
You have
didn't share. But if
experienced
I,
that, so have I, and it's a beautiful thing. And you don't,
yeah,
and it's beautiful in a very different way than doing it to impress other people.
yep. Because when you have that thing that you want
Mm-hmm.
to share, just savor it and enjoy it. I
Love.
mean,
Don't take a
yeah.
picture of it. Just savor it. Enjoy it.
Sheesh. And then finally, my pendulum, because this is such a giant in my life,
Uh-huh.
can swing
Okay.
really far to the like, I don't care what people think, or I'm going to practice that, and therefore I stop caring about people.
Yep. Great
And
call.
I have many times, yeah, I don't want to say cursed, but like I have many times, yeah, just
Well, screw
not
them.
exactly.
Yep.
That's what I mean. Like, not cared. And so like, oh well, I'm gonna try with a really strong effort to not care what
Mm-hmm.
people think, but it can swing the other way and you stop loving people, and that is ultimately what we're called to do, is to love others. So when you
Yep.
stop caring about what people think, still care about people.
Love it.
That's my tweet.
And and I love the free thing because then you're like if your goal is freedom,
Mm-hmm.
then you can feel free to be impressed by other people. You can feel free to care for them deeply. You can feel free to be who you are, wherever you are, and with whoever you are. So I think that's the goal, which is why why I'm so excited about asking some of these core questions because most of them are questions that keep us from actually being free.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my gut. Now I think we're gonna talk. One of the questions we have is like, what would you say to your younger self? That one's gonna be fun. Or
Yeah.
should I should I dye my beard? Well, nope. That one has to do with appearance and never mind. That one's probably not gonna be so light, but
To go gray or not to go gray, right?
right.
Isn't
I
that what
can't
the
wait to talk about these. Um,
Yep.
okay, bro. Should we get into what's giving us life this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ooh.
Wow, dude. that was
Should we
great. We'll do
should we
this
make
real.
okay?
What
I was thinking, yeah, let's do this real quick. I can do it real quick.
were you thinking about making this a two-parter?
No, let's just do it all. I
Okay,
think let's end under the hour and a half,
great, done.
and then I
All right,
think
let's
that's
clap real
appropriate.
quick.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, clap,
Clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
clap.
All right, here we are in What's Giving Us Life this week. We've gone real long, but I promised at the beginning we were going to do What's Giving Us Life at the end of every
Yep,
episode. Um,
yep,
and anyways, I love ending this way because we always end on a high.
yes,
Um, I'll start because you did your tip first.
perfect.
Okay. I know I've talked about this as a What's Giving Me Life this week, but there's a specific reason this week I'm talking about my 5-year journal.
Yep.
So I love my 5-year journal for a lot of reasons. It gives me a better perspective on life. It just helps me not, it actually takes anxiety down because I can read back and see I was really worried about that and I didn't have to. I was trying to impress this
Mm,
person. Why was I doing that? Like it really helps
uh-huh.
me be a much more self-aware person. This morning, I read that we had asked Noah to come home for the weekend because we were telling the boys that Chewie was dying a year
Hmm.
ago. We thought he had
Wow.
cancer. We thought he had a
Yeah.
tumor. He had all this skin stuff. And the doctor was like, well, we can try this medicine. It's not going to work. Or we can do this surgery that's going to be like cost prohibitive. We would have had to cancel our trip to Ireland. That's how much it would have cost.
Wow.
And so we decided as a family, we're not going to do that. And we're just going to let Chewie have a good rest of life. It was a devastating time together.
I remember that.
And a year later, he's alive and kicking
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Right behind
He
you,
is
right?
no, he just was kicking the door trying to get out, so I let him out
Oh,
a little bit ago.
okay.
Healthy old dog. And
Mm.
so I just it helps me remember and be thankful.
Oh,
So
that's so good.
it really set my day in a it just started my day right. And so
Wow.
I love my 5-year journal for a lot of reasons, but this morning it really gave me a lot of life.
Wow, that's great, dude. We should get Levenger to sponsor the podcast.
Please, you can read about your dog not dying.
That's incredible. I'm so
Yeah.
happy.
Yep.
That rules.
What about you?
Okay, so quick update. Been doing Lose It now for a few weeks. Been loving that.
Awesome.
If you go back to our Patreon episode about kind of a new health kick of 2024,
Yep.
I'm really trying to be free of some things. Once again, just all the things. But
Mhm.
one thing that has really brought me life, dude, we were gonna do this awesome grilling session,
Mm.
and man, dry 100 is really hard,
Mm.
and it is hard because I love cracking a cold one. Okay, I'm just gonna name that.
Okay.
It's part
When
of
you're
the
grilling
liturgy.
too, right?
Dude, you light up a hot one and you crack a cold one. It's like the best. It's great. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
you can make that a Coke. You can make that a La Croix, right?
Sure.
We've done all
Yep.
that stuff. I'm off soda. I'm off all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was at the
Just got to
grocery
be a
store.
cold one, right?
Right, just gonna be a cold one. Double shot Starbucks double espresso.
Yeah.
But my buddy Tommy, who inspired me to the Dry 100,
Mm-hmm.
told me about this stuff called Athletic Brewing Company non-alcoholic beers.
Okay.
And like I remember my uncle used to drink O'Doul's,
I was just gonna
and
say, is it like O'Doul's? But doesn't
it's
O'Doul's have like a reputation for tasting disgusting or not?
I've never had it.
Me neither.
Okay, okay, when my buddy Tommy told me about it, I laughed. I was like, that's like decaf coffee. So mean. It was so stupid. I feel awful. And I went up to him and I apologized.
Uh-huh.
Also, I love decaf coffee, which is also hypocrite warning stupid. It has its place. So anyways, I was going to do this awesome grilling session. We got these amazing flank steaks, and I saw at Publix they had Athletic Brewing Company.
Uh-huh.
They have the Run Wild IPA and the Free Wave Hazy IPA.
Okay.
non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah.
I got them, and they are so good.
Really?
They are. I'm not kidding. That's why I repented to Tommy.
Good. Sometimes you got to
And
repent, like when you made fun of me putting bacon in Super
yep,
Toscana
Super Toscana. I
before
had
we
to
started
repent.
recording
I
today.
had to
And then
repent.
you gave me a true, sincere apology for poo-pooing that idea.
That's right. I did. They are really good, and
Awesome.
so I would seriously recommend this. They're non-alcoholic beers. They've shown me that like I like the act
Mm-hmm.
more than the alcohol, and I did not alliterate
Right.
on purpose. That just came out.
No,
I like.
it's like when people quit smoking, right? But a lot of that
Uh-huh.
is the like hand motion stuff that they need to figure out, right? Like
Yep.
the mouth feel and all that stuff, muscle
Hmm.
memory.
Yep. It's really good.
All right.
It's
Say the name
super
of it
good.
again so people can
It's
write it down.
Athletic Brewing Company, non-alcoholic beer. I cannot believe I'm saying that, but it is so good.
Great.
Free Wave Hazy IPA is my favorite. They also have a dark that apparently is really good. I haven't tried,
Okay.
but if you like dark beers, it's a home run, dude.
Awesome.
Wow.
Listen, don't judge Anthony. He's not trying to impress anybody here. He's just telling you his truth.
I am not. I don't care. I'm just telling you that's why like I literally don't care because I'm like it's good. If you don't like it, don't
It's
drink it.
good. Yeah. Listen, he loves it. There's true love here. So who cares? He doesn't need
Yep.
to impress. All
Yep.
right, everybody. Well, let us know what you thought about this app. And if you have any other core questions you want us to ask, we'd really like to hear that. The best way to contact us is on Instagram. You can go find us there at Two Gomers, and everything that you'd need to know is in our link tree, which is in our bio. You can call us on the Gomer phone. That number is
608-622-7669. That's 608 NAB Pony.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe or follow us on whatever podcast app you're listening to right now. Thank you to Davis for our music, Jason and Eric for our graphics, Adam, our webmaster. Now listen to this. Annie, we love our Annie,
We
our
love our
social
Annie.
media guru, and she will forever be our social media guru. But
Yep.
she's got a new little one. And so we say farewell to Annie as our social media coordinator. But she will always be our social media guru. We are retiring
Yep.
that title.
Yep.
And so Lindsay is
Yep.
our new social media coordinator. And I think we're going to land on social media maestro for her.
Nice.
So thank you to Lindsay, our social media maestro, starting right now. February 1st was her first day.
Great.
Thank you especially to Gomertrons, all of our Gomertrons. Those are the folks who subscribe to our second podcast, The Bonus Disc, on Patreon. Not only home to our monthly movie show, Perfect Movie, where we just covered Return of the Jedi, and we're doing The Godfather. Ever heard of it? In
Jeez.
February.
Wow.
But extra episodes like a Perfect Movie Robot and upcoming ridiculous episodes like that and much more, up to 4 episodes per month depending on the level at which you subscribe. All that and more is at patreon.com/twogomers. We welcome your support and we thank you.
Dang, dude. Let me read to you my first memory verse of January 2023.
I'm ready.
Proverbs
Is it the one
29.
that like Dr. Knudsen said?
Yep, but I didn't finish it.
Okay,
Proverbs
I want
29,
to hear it.
25. Fear of man, or you could also say the approval of others or impressing others, will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe.
Love it. All right, everybody. Great app.
Super fun, man. And remember, everybody, if we can ask ourselves these core questions, dig deep. Oh my gosh, dig deep. Talk to a friend about all the things. You can too.
And happy running.
All right.
Great.
Let's stop that.
Okay,
1,
stop it.
2, 3. Stop. Save.
I'm going to stop this recording.
All right.
See ya. See you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.